products, and lots more. Engage us in showcasing your brands and services to the world through adverts and sponsorship. We also offer latest broadcast equipment for rent, all at affordable prices. Tune in to Acnn TV via any free-to-air decoder with the following installation parameters: Intelsat 20 satellite with tuning frequency 12562 MHz, symbol rate 30 Mbps, orbital position 68.5 degree east, and horizontal polarization. You can also keep in touch with episodes of our programs via these social media platforms. For inquiries, please call 070-3265-6544 or mail us via enquiries@acnntv.com. ACNN, reaching the world with the undiluted Word of God.
Hello and welcome to the news on the hour. Now let's take you to our major stories. The Anglican Bishop of the Diocese of Akoko-Edo, the Right Reverend Jolly Oyeben, calls on Nigerians to continue to seek the face of the Lord in regards to the plight of the nation. Diocese of Okrika holds her third session of the 6th Synod with the theme Manifestation of the Sons of God, as the Bishop of the Diocese, the Right Reverend Enoch Atuboyedia, reels out his immediate plans and vision in his episcopacy for the diocese. The Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the West and coordinating Bishop of Kona, the Right Reverend Dr. Felix Orji, and his wife Mrs. Lillian Orji, calls on mothers to keep loving their children and husbands, teaching their children how to live, learn, love and leave a legacy for Jesus rather than for themselves and their own good. The Areona Kankanfo of Yoruba land, Iba Ghana Adams, warns President Muhammadu Buhari against allowing what would trigger another war in Nigeria. Here are the stories in details. The Anglican Bishop of the Diocese of Akoko-Edo, the Right Reverend Jolly Oyeben, has called on Nigerians to continue to seek the face of the Lord in regards to the plight of the nation, stressing that the government of the day has no solution to what has befallen the nation. Speaking in an interview with Wanne Ogechukwu, the cleric opined that the killing of the innocent and vulnerable cannot bring about the desired peace or restructuring of the country.
Really need to call on God concerning what is going on in our country, Nigeria, because it is clear that the government have lost focus. We are no longer safe. Things are not working. The masses are suffering. And so we just discovered that if God does not intervene, we'll go into a very serious state of regrets and pains. So we are believing God for intervention. And I want to call on the people of this nation to know that when we shed blood, God is not happy. What we are seeing is not good, and we must rise up to say no to it at all levels. Even if there is a need to restructure, it's not with blood. If we need to come together, let's come together on a round table and tell ourselves what we need. We can still remain brothers, even if we have to share ourselves. We don't need to kill ourselves. Where we are going, it is clear that if God does not intervene, this nation case will be worse than Southern Sudan, and all the other places we have heard of in the world. May God help us in Jesus' name.
Well, still on the state of the nation, the Anglican Bishop of Jalingo Diocese, Anglican Communion, the Right Reverend Nedison Foreman, has condemned the level of insecurity, banditry, kidnappings happenings in the nation. This is as contained in his presidential address at the third session of the 7th Synod with the theme More Than Conquerors, held at the Cathedral Church of Christ, Mayodasa, Jalingo. According to him, the once peaceful country where people lived as one despite the diversity of different ethnic nationalists across the country is now a place where hostility reigns unabated. Adding that Nigeria is now a place where gunmen invade communities, kill and sack residents on a daily basis, describing as disheartening the security situation in the northeast, northwest, north central, southeast, southwest and south-south, as there have been series of killings purportedly carried out both by Fulani herders, bandits and gunmen across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. The bishop therefore suggested that a state of emergency be declared on security as far as the country is concerned. He, however, assured Nigerians and Christians that they are more than conquerors just because of Christ's love, and so no matter what goes on in the country, Christians should bear in mind that since God cannot be defeated, since Jesus Christ cannot be defeated, Christians too cannot be defeated. Moving on to Okirika Diocese, now the Lord Bishop, the Right Reverend Enoch Atuboyedia of Okirika Diocese Anglican Communion has rolled out his immediate plans and vision in his episcopacy for the diocese. He revealed this during the formal opening and presidential charge of the third session of the 6th Synod of the Okirika Diocese held at St. Thomas Anglican Church in Azuaibi, Port Harcourt, with the theme Manifestation of the Sons of God.
In evangelism, our vision is to conquer new grounds in evangelism and church planting, motivate and mobilize the entire church for missions and evangelism. All members of our church, both clergy and lay, with the bishop inclusive, to win at least one soul for Christ, make the church a strong voice in the land, raise a spiritually vibrant and financially stable church, strive under God to run an inclusive government.
He went further to list some of the achievements of the diocese under his 100 days episcopacy, while also charging the clergy to buy into his performance-driven style of administration.
Our first 100 days in office, we carried out familiarization visits to the institutions of the diocese. In line with our vision on evangelism, we also took the gospel of Christ to the government-recognized kingdoms in Wakrike nation. In order to retain and bring back our youths that left the Anglican Communion to other denominations, and also to redirect them on the path of godly virtue. Under the direction of God, a youth church was started on Sunday, 17th January 2021 at Okrika Grammar School, Okrika. In this administration, posting of clergy and other church workers to station will be based on performance. Again, we want to state that being an archdeacon or a canon is not for life. Your continuous stay in that office will be determined by your performance.
Meanwhile, some bishops who graced the presidential charge of the Okirika Diocesan Synod threw their weight behind Bishop Atuboyedia as he presided over his first synod, tipping him to succeed in his ministry in Okirika Diocese and prayed that God will be with him. They encouraged him to be steadfast and run a government of inclusion. Amongst the bishops present was the newly elected Archbishop of the Niger Delta Province, Bishop Blessing Enyinda, also the immediate past Bishop of Okirika, Tobokosime Abere, among others.
We want to thank God for the Bishop presenting his first address today. A word of encouragement for him is to remain steadfast, remain in faith, remain strong, remain focused to serve the people of the diocese.
It requires a lot of experience, and it's usually a shaky one for someone who is doing it for the first time and has been able to preside over this synod excellently. So I commend him and members of the Synod Planning Committee for a great work they did here.
I want to pray that he will succeed. This is his first synod, and we pray that his roadmap and all the things that he's been able to tell the diocese today as touching what he's going to be doing, that God will help him to fulfill them. And also pray that the diocese, everyone will come on board to support him, because the bishop alone cannot do the magic.
I will advise him to hold on to God, should not deviate in the mission of evangelism, should be prayerful as ever, and then carry the people along. The Lord will be with him.
The Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the West and coordinating Bishop of Cornham, the Right Reverend Dr. Phyllis Orji, and his wife, Mrs. Lillian Orji, have called on mothers to keep loving their children and husbands, to keep teaching their children how to live, learn, love, and leave a legacy for Jesus, rather than for themselves and their own glory, and to recognize that they live in the intersection between time and eternity, and hence should keep Jesus Christ at the center of their lives. The Right Reverend Dr. Phyllis Orji and his wife, Mrs. Lillian Orji, gave this advice to mothers as the U.S. and other countries mark their Mother's Day. They further stressed that mothers should show their children how to treat people well and how to make it through a world that throws them some curveballs at the most inopportune time. The cleric and the wife also prayed for mothers that the Lord will give them the wisdom and the equanimity to accomplish their role as godly mothers in a disoriented world such as this. The Administrative Secretary of the Bishop of the Diocese of Ughelli, Reverend Canon Christopher Idono, has said that the theme of their synod is very apt in such a time as this. Speaking with Wanne Ogechukwu in an interview, the cleric said that the Bishop of the Diocese and other speakers handled the topic well. He also called on Christians to be a fragrance for Christ wherever they find themselves.
Actually, the theme of synod this year is very apt and timely, considering the kind of things that have been happening in our nation of recent. The theme talks about diffusing the aroma of Christ to a world that is morally decaying. And so I see the theme as a very powerful one that is so apt to the time we are into. The bishops in his charge presented actually did justice to the theme. We are Christ's fragrance, a critical examination of the Christian life in a time like this. I believe the theme was well handled and is very timely. Wherever we find ourselves in a time like this, in order to help to build our society, we need to reflect the aroma of Christ to the world. And they will know that we still have hope, that when we reflect the aroma, the fragrance of Christ to a world that seems to be dying in terms of morality and the rest of them, actually Christians can still make it. And my message to them is we should continue to believe, and wherever we find ourselves, being it in the market, the office, wherever we are working, we should keep on reflecting the aroma of Christ to the world, and our society will become a better place.
Well, you're still watching the news on the hour, and still to come, Real Madrid shortlists 3 managers to take over from Zinedine Zidane. We'll have that story and more after this break. Please stay tuned.
You are Yahweh, you are Yahweh. Hello, beautiful people of God. My name is Steve Crown. Keep watching Acnn. Don't go nowhere. God bless you.
I am Ikede or Hakim. Keep watching Acnn, #1 TV station in West Africa.
You're welcome back, and thanks for being there. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or our social media platforms on facebook.com or youtube.com/acnntv. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the Avo TV app from Google Play Store, and you can also advertise your goods and services on Acnn TV. On insecurity, the Areono Kankanfo of Yoruba land, Ibagani Adams, has warned President Muhammadu Buhari against allowing what would trigger another war in Nigeria. Adams warned that God would not forgive Buhari if Nigeria witnessed another war due to the current state of insecurity. He made the remark while accusing Buhari of being insensitive to Nigeria's plight over the country's insecurity crisis, noting that the call for Nigeria's disintegration was due to the federal government's inability to address the country's challenges. He accused Buhari of displaying an uninspired attitude towards the insecurity challenges in the country. Meanwhile, the families of the late Tolulope Arotile, Nigeria's first female combat helicopter pilot, are seeking quick dispensation of justice in the case investigating the incident which led to the death of their daughter, Arotile. She died in an accident on July 14, 2020 at the Nigerian Air Force base in Kaduna at the age of 24. Her father, Acnn Arotile, during an interview in Kogi State, said he is yet to heal over the sad incident and he is more disturbed by the prolonged case investigating her death. He added that his wife, mother to the late Tolulope, is more disturbed as she daily laments over the delayed case with justice yet to be served 10 months after. Mr. Arotile stressed that if only justice can be served as soon as possible, their minds will be put to rest. Away from Nigeria now, fresh clashes have broken out between Israeli police and Palestinians at the Al-Aqsa Mosque site in Jerusalem, ahead of a planned Jewish nationalist march. Palestinians threw stones at Israeli security forces who fired stun bullets at hundreds of Palestinians, and more than 20 Israeli police have been injured in the clash over the past 3 days. There are fears of more violence over the annual Jerusalem Day flag march, as this event marks Israel's capture of East Jerusalem, home to the Old City and its holy site in 1967, and usually sees a walk through Muslim areas, and this is regarded as many Palestinians as a deliberate provocation. Moving on, a judge has ordered Myanmar ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi to appear in court on May 24th in person for the first time. Her lawyer, Kin Maung Zaw, said after weeks of delays in her case, the Nobel laureate has not been publicly seen since she was detained in a February 1 coup when the military ousted her from power and reinstalled its rule, as she was subsequently hit with a series of charges, and her legal team has faced an uphill battle to get a private audience with their client. The 75-year-old former leader has been charged 6 times since her arrest as the charges include flouting coronavirus restrictions during last year's election campaign and possessing unlicensed walkie-talkies. And on sports news, Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has provided the latest injury update on captain Harry Maguire. Maguire sustained an ankle injury during Man United's Premier League 3-1 victory against Aston Villa on Sunday. The England centre-back, who had played every minute for Manchester United in the Premier League this season, was forced off during the second half at Villa Park, providing an update on Maguire. Solskjaer said that the player might be available for Man United's Premier League clash against Leicester City on 11th of May at the Old Trafford. The kick-off time for Man United versus Leicester City is 6 p.m. And Real Madrid has shortlisted 3 managers to take over from their coach Zinedine Zidane. Transfer expert Fabrizio Romano, former Juventus coach Algheri, is among a 3-man shortlist of managers to replace Zinedine Zidane. At the end of the season, should the club's president Florentino Perez sack him. Meanwhile, Zidane has overseen a difficult season at the Santiago Bernabeu. The Frenchman has been linked with Juventus, especially with Andrea Pirlo looking likely to lose his job over in Turin. Well, to end the news now, here is a recap of our major stories. The Anglican Bishop of the Diocese of Akoko-Edo, the Right Reverend Jolly Oyekben, calls on Nigerians to continue to seek the face of the Lord in regards to the plight of the nation. Diocese of Okerika holds her 3rd session of the 6th Synod with the theme, Manifestation of the Sons of God, as the Bishop of the Diocese, the Right Reverend Enoch Atuboyede, reels out his immediate plans and vision in his episcopacy for the diocese. And the Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the West and Coordinating Bishop of Cornwall, the Right Reverend Dr. Felix Orji, and his wife, Mrs. Lillian Orji, calls on mothers to keep loving their children and husbands, teaching their children how to live, learn, love, and leave a legacy for Jesus rather than for themselves and their own glory. The Areona Kakanfo of Yoruba land, Iba Gani Adams, warns President Muhammadu Buhari against allowing what would trigger another war in Nigeria. And that's where we draw the curtain for this edition of the news. And I want to thank you profusely for watching. I am Nzubechi Frank. Have a lovely day.
Beaming from the nation's capital, we bring to you the good news through various programming. news updates, worship and teachings.
The paralysis of sin makes us to be separated from God.
Contact us for your live streaming solutions and event coverage such as synods, conferences, seminars,